Medic Mind. Motivate, mentor, maximize.
Welcome to this video where we're going to introduce ourselves to the UKCAT exam. So what is the UKCAT? It is required by the majority of medical schools in the UK. You can sit the UKCAT any time between July the 3rd to October the 3rd. It is a 2-hour computerized test. No content knowledge is required, it is an aptitude test. But nonetheless, practice is essential. So, there are 5 sections in the UKCAT. First up, we have verbal reasoning. We also have decision making, quantitative reasoning, abstract reasoning, and finally, situational judgment. We'll go through each of these sections one by one in this video, and there are tutorials for each part of each section in this online course. So how do universities use the UKCAT? Some of them rank you by UKCAT score and give interviews based on that. Some allocate you points for your quartile. Quartiles refer to the top 25%, the top 50%, and the top 75%. Other universities will have a minimum cutoff, meaning you'll have to get above a certain score. This could be 690, 680, or even 700, depending on how your year does. They could also use it in borderline cases. For example, Cardiff only look at it when they have to differentiate between two candidates who otherwise have very similar applications. And there are some universities which don't use it at all. These universities could use the BMAT instead, or have no aptitude test at all. So you may ask, why is it so difficult? Well, there's so many different aspects to consider. You have the timing pressure. You have the abstract skills. A lot of the skills won't be the ones that you've learnt at school. And preparation is essential for these. So these are the average UKCAT scores from past years. With decision making, it's a new section, and with situational judgment, it's scored in bands, so we don't really have an average of that. As you can see, the UK average for the UKCAT is 643, but Medic Mind students have been found to get an average of 720. Let's look at each section now, starting with verbal reasoning. Here you'll be given 11 passages, and you'll have 4 questions per passage set. Each passage is roughly half a page. There are 2 main question types: true, false, can't tell, and sentence statements. We'll look at these in more details in the tutorials on the other videos. This is the sort of question you'll get in the exam. Here the answer is D. Pause the video now to have a go at the question. Now the reason the answer is D is because you're looking for the author's opinion. It is stated and read, golf is a beneficial activity in terms of exercise and social interaction. This is why the other answers are wrong. Now this example is discussed in a lot more detail in one of the verbal reasoning videos. Have a look out for the author questions video for help on this question. Moving on to quantitative reasoning now, you'll be given 9 sets of questions with 4 questions per set. This totals to 36 questions, and you'll have 24 minutes to answer this. The information is shown in tables, graphs, bar charts, and pie charts. Also look at diagrams and text passages. This is the calculator you'll be given in your exam as well. There is no answer button here, and there's no power function. You'll have to use your keyboard or mouse to navigate throughout it. You can practice it using the website. It has a calculator that you'll use in the exact same exam. I'd really get to grips with this calculator because it's unlike any other calculator in the world. The calculator most similar to it would be your iPhone or phone calculator. I wouldn't recommend using a scientific calculator when you're answering questions because you'll struggle in the actual exam. Moving on to abstract reasoning now, you'll be given 11 sets of questions with 5 questions per set and 1 pattern per set. There are 2 different question types. You have type 1 and type 4, where there'll be static patterns, type 2 and type 3, where there are dynamic patterns. Now this may seem very ambiguous and very blurry to you, but as long as you watch the videos, you'll be confident with the exam in no time. We also have the situational judgment exam. This is a common test you'll sit in your medical career as well. There's 26 minutes, which compared to the other sections is plenty of time to read all the scenarios. You'll be given 20 scenarios in total, and you'll get a band score. This will be from band 1 to band 4. There will be around 3 to 5 questions per scenario, and you'll have to judge how appropriate or important responses to a scenario are. And we also have decision making. This has 29 questions in 31 minutes. You will be the first to sit this section as it was trialled last year. Each question has its own data set, meaning there will be one question with one data set. Skills required include evaluating arguments, statistical reasoning, and deductive reasoning. Here are some of our tips now. To try and do it before coming back to school in September, because when you return to school, you may be preparing for the BMAT, you'll be doing your A-levels, you won't really have time to prepare for it. Roughly 4 to 6 weeks is the most you'll need to prepare, ideally 5 weeks. I'd recommend doing about an hour to 2 hours per day if you can. Classroom courses are often not worth the huge amounts, as the information is very generic and it's essentially an audio book of the course booklet. Try and opt for a one-to-one tutor wherever possible, and hopefully this video course will be good enough for you. Don't panic, you will definitely improve. I'm sure there are certain parts that you've already looked at and you've thought, oh my gosh, I really can't answer these questions. But honestly, you keep practicing, listening to our tips, and you will be fine. Verbal reasoning and abstract reasoning can be nightmares at first because they're not the sorts of questions you're used to. Verbal reasoning, you may think, oh, it's just comprehension, but the skills required are a lot more different than that. For example, timing in verbal reasoning is extremely difficult. Try and get used to the setting of the test. Practice a full 2-hour mock. It will drain you a lot and you'll be very tired by the end of it, but it will be representative of the actual exam. Use the official calculator. This is available on the website to use at your ease. And try and use a whiteboard. In the exam, you'll be given an A4 whiteboard with either a permanent or non-permanent marker depending on your centre. Try and practice doing questions using this whiteboard. Focus on timing from early on. If every single candidate had about 5 to 10 hours to answer the questions, they'd get at least above 800, but this section is testing your timing skills as well. Aim to not over-revise or keep pushing your tests back, because there will become a point where you can't improve anymore and you've maximised your performance. After that, not only will it be inefficient and a waste of your time, you may see your scores deteriorate. The Medic Mind online course is being used by thousands of UKCAT students across the UK. For £30, you can access all 150 tutorials in our online course. The course covers 4 full days of UKCAT teaching, as well as a course to help you with your personal statement and interview. You're free to ask as many questions as you'd like to our teachers, and with each tutorial you can read along using our 5 UKCAT ebooks covering 500 pages of theory and questions to guide you every step of the way.